I'm Gabe Abshaw. This is Connecting the Journey.
Welcome back to Connecting the Journey. The purpose of Connecting Journey is to just take some time and look back at the past and where we came from so we can move forward with gratitude. A lot of times as entrepreneurs, we're always looking for that next thing. We're always looking to be bigger and better, but it's impossible to have gratitude if you're always looking forward. So today, I'm so excited. One of my favorite persons in the world, Mr. Brian Moses, is joining us on the show. It's going to be so fun. He's full of energy. I really love this guy. I had the pleasure of spending some time with him and his son after Thanksgiving up in Vanderbilt. So I'm really pumped to have you on the show, Brian. Welcome.
Thanks for having me, Gabe. I love you too. You're also one of my favorite people in the world.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate it. You know, I was thinking about this. Like, you came into Dallas 2-3 weeks ago, and I hadn't seen you in 7 years, and we were both blown away. Like, we keep in touch, but we haven't seen each other in 7 years. And you were here 7 years ago, jumping out of an airplane, and I remember having breakfast with you, and you were like on cloud 9. You were full of energy. You were so pumped. And you came back and you did it again a few weeks ago, and we got to spend some time together. So how was your second time jumping out of an airplane?
It was fantastic. And you were with me both times. It was pretty wild. I mean, this time you were with me, you know, and videotaping it from the ground. It was a pretty wild experience. It wasn't as difficult or challenging as the first time, kind of like most things in life. The first time you kiss a girl, or you kiss a if you're a female and you kiss a boy, or, you know, the first time you kiss somebody, your partner.
Yeah.
To be politically correct today, right? So it's awkward, it's uncomfortable, but then it gets easier. So jumping out of a plane is very similar. The first time scared the hell out of me. I was petrified, white-knuckled, clammy hands. The second time, still scared, but not petrified. And I'm looking forward to the third time. So
maybe I'll join you. I think me and my son will join you. You know, we talked about it that day. Like, if you look at fear, right? I mean, you're scared up until you get in the plane, and you're scared. But as soon as you jump, there's nothing you can do, and the fear is gone, right? Yeah. And you know, we talk about what's on the other side of fear, and there's nothing. It's all in your head. Right, it's all in your head. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Yes, it's joyful. It's peace, and I think skydiving's an interesting analogy of that. And I think I saw it too, because when you went up, I could tell you were in a better mood. You're a little bit less nervous, I think, because I was there and we were talking. But then when you got down, dude, you were on top of the world, like you could conquer anything. And that's a really good analogy for life and fear in general. That we just got to go for it, man. Jump out of the plane, jump off the cliff, because.
Yeah, I think I did it personally to call out the little voice in our head, the one that tells you can't do it, you shouldn't do it, you're crazy, that's unrealistic. You know, jumping out of a plane is unrealistic. It's freaky, and you know, there's consequences to not doing it correctly. But that little voice, we all have that little voice in our head, and I've done a pretty good job over the years of recognizing that voice and telling them to shut up and I don't need you right now, and literally putting my hand up and saying stop. But jumping out of a plane or putting yourself in a extreme situation, bungee jumping, even just you know, I was in Toronto once. You go up and you can walk out onto a glass floor. Mm-hmm. That's crazy, and the little voice shows up. You know, it's completely safe, but even stepping on the glass and looking 300 feet down is frightening. And we all have that voice in our head, and that voice can either serve us or it can hold us back. So I like to sometimes challenge that voice to a fight, to a confrontation. And jumping out of a plane did that. And I'm like, you're not serving me right now. Telling me, what if you die? You're going to orphan your kid. Shut up. That's not helpful.
Yeah, shut it down. And we need those, you know, it was 7 years, and I could tell that you needed it. Like you needed it, right? And I mean, it may have gone too long, but it's almost like we almost need those, like, man, if you could do something like that once a quarter or 2-3 times a year, like you need those resets. So it was awesome to experience that with you. So let's get to know you a little bit better. Like I said, man, you're one of my favorite people in the world. Every time I talk to you, you're full of energy, and you've got a pretty cool story. So let's jump into a little bit. I told you let's tell some of those stories, some of those stories you look back and you're like, man, that really altered the trajectory of my life, and some of the things that we may forget along the way. So let's just start with, where you grew up at. What was your childhood like?
Yeah, so my mother's a German immigrant. She married my biological father when he was in the military in Germany. She got pregnant. He was moved to the United States. He got in a bad accident. I was 3 years old. My sister was 1 year old. My mother and father, biological father, got divorced. And my mother worked 2 jobs. She was on welfare. We were living in government housing. So from 3 to 14-ish, it was challenging. And then my mother met my stepdad, who ultimately raised us and provided for us. And I'm very, very grateful for him because he got us out of the projects. He got us off welfare. He taught me work ethic. He was a World War II veteran. He was on the 3rd wave of Omaha Beach. I have an immense sense of gratitude for our veterans. So if you're a veteran watching this, I love and appreciation for you. I'm here, Gabe's here today because of the freedoms that you've provided for us. And I'm super grateful for our veterans, thanks to my dad. And, I went to high school. I wasn't a great student. I did okay. I wasn't a great athlete, but I had a good work ethic. If I wanted something, my dad told me to, go get a job. So since the age of 11 or 12, I've always had a job. And those jobs were typically physical labor and challenging, which made what I do today easy.
What was your most challenging physical job you had as a kid? It's funny, I saw this video on some social media platform, and the dad's like, "Hey, get to work," and the kid's like, "That's child labor," and it's it's interesting how the generation, and it's not too far off. It's an exaggeration, but that wasn't the case, I'm sure, with a World War II veteran dad.
No, I mean, I cut lawns and pushed lawnmowers. I didn't have a riding lawnmower, so I'd push the lawnmower all the way through the neighborhood on the sidewalk and then get to somebody's yard and cut 3 acres of grass for $30. I delivered wood stoves, those heavy cast iron wood stoves. I did that. I worked at a delicatessen making sandwiches, and in the, rush of lunch from 11 to 1, and there's 5 people backed up screaming at you, and my boss is screaming at you. Those were all experiences that I'm really, really grateful for. They helped build character and work ethic and made me who I am today. I went to college. I wanted to be an FBI agent. And it was a big, I got an internship in Washington, D.C., and that's a long story. I was really excited about it. I had top secret clearance. I worked under the President Reagan's administration, got to meet the president, got to go to the White House as part of my job as a college student. And I was going to be an FBI agent upon graduation, but there was a big political government internal affairs scandal, and I'm like, I don't want any part of this. So I switched my major to business, graduated from college. My father had a plumbing business, and I worked with him part-time. So that was, digging ditches, jackhammering foundations to put the sewer line through, drilling through 2x12s to, run the pipes, up on ladders. I hated it. I hated child labor, adult labor. I hated it. So I said, I'm going to go into real estate. And that's where the journey began. And my dad said, you have a college education. You could be a plumber. You could run this business. You could take it over. I go, that's your dream, not mine.
How'd your dad react to that?
It was hard.
It's a big statement, a bold statement to say to a parent, and especially a parent of that generation who had a business that really wants the son to take over.
Yeah, It was hard. I loved my dad. I was very appreciative of my dad. He wanted me to take it over. That would be his legacy,
Yeah.
to know that when he's gone, his son is expanding and growing his plumbing business. I said, Dad, I hate it. I absolutely hate it. Like, you're 78 years old and you're still jackhammering foundation walls when I'm not there to do it for you.
Yeah.
That's not my vision of what there's nothing wrong with it. It's just not what I want to do. And he thought I was ungrateful and disrespectful. And, he didn't really know how to handle it, being from that generation.
Yeah.
But we got through it. And I told him, I will make you proud. Like, I will not let you down. And I hope that made a difference and lessened the hurt of his dream of having his son take over the business. And unfortunately, my dad passed before he got to see my success. But I'm a spiritual guy, and I believe that he sees me. And I think he's had an integral part in my life, and including my son's life, where we went through fertility and we had all those challenges. And we prayed to my dad and said, hey, one time, can you put in a good word for us? And we were blessed with our son, Hayden. So I think he's watching. I think he's proud. And I think he's partly responsible for the fertility that we were able to get when we were diagnosed with as infertile parents.
Well, I'll tell you, seeing how you interact and how you're passionate and engaged with your son, I guarantee you he's proud. Right. I mean, what you've done with your son and your family is amazing, man. So he's definitely looking down on you and with a full heart and very proud of you.
I appreciate that.
So talk about your success. What was your, when did you get in real estate? What was that transition like? And, what was that, first part of becoming a realtor like? What was that jump you had to make? What was the connection? When did you have to jump out of the airplane to get into real estate?
Yeah, so I had that conversation with my dad, and I said, I'm going to make lots of money in real estate. And he supported me, and, we got over the hurdle and the hurt. And I struggled. I was living at home my first year. And he kind of did a I told you so, the old school generation, like, you sure you don't want to get back into plumbing? You made $18,000 your first year. I said, no, I'll figure this out. And I struggled for 5 years. I managed to move out, get my own apartment, create some independence. I worked really hard, and I learned that just working hard is not the answer. And we've all heard working smarter is better than working harder. But to dive into the switch from failure after failure, getting by, struggling, to, having really great success and income, working smarter is all about skill. And, jumping out of an airplane requires skill. I don't have the skills, so I had a guy on my back strapped. He knew when to pull the chute. If I didn't pull the chute, he had it. Like, he's done 3,500 jumps.
Yeah.
So in real estate, I made the distinction that motivation wasn't enough. I was motivated. I was working 7 days a week, nights, weekends, holidays, but I was starving and broke. And my father suggested that I find some mentors and some role models who were succeeding at what I wanted to do. He goes, I can teach you how to plumb a house. I can't teach you how to wire a house. And you're listening to people that have never sold a house. So why don't you find somebody who sells lots of houses and find out what they do? So it's
amazing advice. He was in on you, man. He was in. That's beautiful.
That was a turning point. So I found a really great agent, and I shadowed that agent, and I made a decision to befriend that agent and, do what they were doing. They were the #1 agent in the world for RE/MAX at the time. So the gentleman's name is Craig Proctor. A lot of people in the real estate industry know of Craig, know who Craig is. Twice he was #1 agent for all of RE/MAX. He sold hundreds of homes. Young kid, 29 years old. We became great friends out of that advice my father gave me. He was the best man in my wedding. I was the best man in his wedding. I became a product of my environment, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Show me who you hang around with, and I'll show you your future. So that was a turning point. I learned a lot from Craig. We ended up going into business together, creating coaching. You know, he taught me what he did, and I became the number 2 agent in the world for Coldwell Banker. So it was, you know, success is duplicatable, it's transferable. And then we both are friends with Jay Kinder and Mike Reese, and I coached Jay Kinder, and Jay Kinder became the number 2 agent in the world for Coldwell Banker. So that was really the distinction, you know, learning that you need skills to generate leads. You need skills to convert leads. We can screw up a perfectly good lead if we say the wrong things. And client acquisitions. So I've always spent time with people who do more than I do, know more than I do, and just been a good modeler and copycatter.
You know, I think we share that too, man. I fully believe in that. You know, look, you are the product of who you surround yourself with. I'm perfectly fine not being the smartest person in the room. I want to surround myself with people that's been there, that's done that can help guide me. It just makes no sense. Like anyone that says I'm going to figure this out on my own and I'm going to do it on my own, like, sorry, like have fun with that 10, 12-year journey. I'm going to skip and go find the guy that's the smartest guy and learn from him so we can really accelerate it, man. Because look, at the end of the day, it's time, right? Yeah. Time's the most valuable commodity we have. No one can buy any more of it. So just, unless you just want to spend your career doing one thing, it doesn't make any sense not to go find the smartest person. And the smartest people, and not even smartest, I would say the most successful people are most of the time really good people. Right? And you go to that mentor, you go to that person, look, I want to learn from you, right? I want to follow you. I want to learn from you. Most of the time they're good people and they're going to take you in with open arms and show you the way to do it. And so you just have to have the courage and the curiosity to do that, right? Funny stat. So your guy that you jumped out of the airplane with, 3,500 jumps. On my little sheet here, it says that you sold more than 3,500 homes.
Wow! Yeah, that is,
in your career, right?
That's accurate. Yeah.
That's really interesting how that comes together.
That is funny, and I probably could help him sell some real estate if he wanted to, right?
Yeah, probably so. Absolutely.
And he could help me learn how to jump on my own if I wanted to do that. Yeah. So find people who are successful and model their behavior.
Well, so one thing that I know that you're proud of and you're very passionate about is your relationships with Tony Robbins and him personally and the coaching program. You know, that's something that I've been very interested in and we've talked about a lot. How'd that relationship come about?
So I was struggling in real estate and my mindset was not in the right place. You know, that little voice in my head, I didn't even know I had a little voice in my head that was driving my behavior. You know, telling me, that's not realistic. You can't do that. That's not reasonable. You don't have, you know, you're not smart. You're not a people person. You're blah, 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 blah. And then I was up one night late at night and there was an infomercial and it was Tony Robbins. And the message on the infomercial was, you can have any life you want. It doesn't matter who you are, where you're from. You can have it all. And I'm like, really? I can? And I felt like Tony was talking to me. So for 3 easy payments of $149, I could buy personal power. And they came on cassettes and I listened to those cassettes until they wore out, till they wouldn't play anymore, over and over and over again. And I learned about how your beliefs control your thoughts, and your thoughts control your actions, and your actions control your results. And if you don't have the results that you want in life, let's trace it back to, what do you believe? And Tony got me to believe that anything is possible. And if you hang around with me long enough, I'll get you believing that you can do anything you set your mind to, because I believe that. And I don't have the word can't in my vocabulary. So, you know, I'm listening to Tony. And then one thing happened in my life that was really transformative. I was on my way to New York with a friend for the David Letterman show. Tony always coached us, and I heard it in his tapes. The quality of your life is in direct proportion to the quality of the questions you ask yourself. So if you ask good questions, you'll get good answers. If you ask bad questions, you'll get not answers that don't serve you. So one question that I often ask is, how can I make things even better? So I'm going to New York. We're going to see David Letterman. And I go, hey, Scott, how can we make this even better? And he goes, this is an amazing weekend. We got Letterman tickets. We're going to the Red Sox Yankees. We're going to Smith and Walensky's for dinner. It doesn't get any better than this. I go, it can always be better.
It can always be better.
Can always be better. I go, what if we got on the show? So to make a long story short, I got on the show. Scott's like, you can't get on the show. I go, what'd you say? Did you say the C word? Did you say can't? And I managed to get on the show, the whole show. And that built a muscle in me that when you make a decision, everything starts with a decision. I had no idea how I was going to do something. And most of us, myself included, sometimes get paralyzed by the how. We have a big, enormous goal. My son had a goal to play Division I football. Maybe we'll talk about that a little bit because you were at the game a couple of weeks ago.
Yep, absolutely.
And people are like, you're too small, you're undersized, you're from New Hampshire. Nobody recruits Division I from New Hampshire. You have all these obstacles in your way. And my son says, we don't say can't. And you have a lot of adversity. So if you believe you can accomplish anything, you have a chance.
Absolutely.
If you believe you can't because you don't have the money, you don't have the resources, you don't know how, you're screwed.
Yeah.
Make a decision to dream big. I don't believe in setting realistic goals. Everybody teaches, the majority of people say, set realistic goals so you don't get disappointed. F that.
Yeah.
Disappointment teaches growth. I've been disappointed a lot. But I set big ass goals because I don't want a realistic life. Realistic goals produce mediocrity, produce a good, decent, average, get by life. I don't want that. I want amazing. And I believe we can have it. So you have to shoot for the stars. And sometimes you don't hit the stars, but you land on the moon. And a lot of people haven't been on the moon, and the moon's pretty great.
Yep.
My life has been very, very blessed and been pretty great. Not to say I don't have challenges and obstacles and illness in my family and, family members that, you can't pick your family. But I'm very blessed. I'm very full of great gratitude.
And I think that whole segment that you just went on, just really a reason why we connect. I always say that, look, no matter what you tell yourself, you're right. And it's really 100%. As simple as that. Like if you tell yourself you can, then you're right. And if you tell yourself you can, you're right also. So might as well, you're the director of your movie. You're director of your story. You might as well make it as amazing as possible, right? And then I love what you said, it can always be better. Yeah, I'm really happy where I'm at and really grateful for where I am, but it always can be better, right? And then when things go the other way and challenges start to hit you, I like to ask the question or say the statement of, it always could be worse, right?
Yes.
Things could always be worse and they could always be better. And I 100% believe in that. And it's just that it's so simple if you just allow your mind to go with it, right? And you shut that voice up that's in your head, that imposter syndrome, all that limiting belief, everything that comes with it, because you track that back and like, who told you that it wasn't possible, right? Like, and 100%. You said that, probably someone that hasn't done it. Because if you're around successful people that's been there and done that, they're absolutely not going to tell you that you can't do it, right? They're going to tell you that you need to dream for the stars.
So I like to talk about the reported world versus the created world. The reported world are all the reasons why you can't. Mm-hmm. There's tons of reasons why my son can't play Division I football. There's tons of reasons why I can't get on the Letterman show. There's tons of reasons why we can't have a child because we're infertile. So the glass is half empty, if you can see this.
I can see it.
And you're not wrong. But how you choose to look at things will change the trajectory of your life. You know, you're not wrong. If Hayden's 5'8", you're not wrong that he's 5'8", and that's an obstacle. You're not wrong that he lives in New Hampshire and we don't play football or train in the winter because it's 20 below zero. And we have a disadvantage over kids who live in Georgia, Texas, and Florida, and California. And that's where the heavy recruits come from. So you're not wrong in seeing the glass is half empty, but you're also limited by not looking for the positive.
Right. And that's the choice. You can either look at the negative or look at the positive, right?
That's right.
You make a list of all the positives in your life and all the negative in life. I guarantee you the positive is going to outweigh the negative. And that's your choice. That's what you can control. What you look at and what you focus on, right? What you give, you'll know the quote, what you give attention to is going to grow, right? So if you look at the positive, it's going to grow. If you look at the negative, it's going to pull you down, you know? So let's jump into Hayden, man. This was a really an amazing story of what first I think it starts with you and the way you brought him up and the people you surrounded him with to give him that mindset, to believe that can't is not in my vocabulary, right? And I learned some things when we were together of the challenges that football players in New Hampshire have, right? You mentioned the weather, the amount of talent we have in the South, but then the other thing I think is probably the biggest challenge that he had to overcome early on is the coaching and the mindset up there, right? They almost instill it into the kids like you can't do it. Like, why bother, right? You're in New Hampshire, you get to practice half the time. They've got tons of talent, right? And I really believe that what you instilled in him, that abundance mindset, that I can mindset to believe in himself, is what got him here today, along with him just being an amazing kid. But tell us a little bit about his adversity and kind of where he got to, where he's at now, which is truly amazing.
Well, thank you for that. And I have two amazing kids. I'm really blessed. Hayden's a fertility miracle. We weren't supposed to have kids. We had 3 miscarriages on 11 fertility cycles. We were just about to give up, and he was a gift from God, a gift from my dad. One thing that I learned in reading a book early on, if you have young children, this will be important. Your conscious mind doesn't develop until the age of 13. And as early as a fetus in the mother's womb, the fetus can recognize its parent's voice. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if it understands English. I just know that it can recognize the voice. And I got into the habit while we were going through the pregnancy to rub my wife's belly and say every night, I don't know if you're a boy, I don't know if you're a girl, but you're a miracle. Mm. And I believe that about all babies. It's really a miraculous thing that a human being can be birthed. It's incredible if you just pause to think about it. So every child is a miracle. And I would tell my son or daughter that you're a miracle and you're going to do amazing things and you're going to change the world and you're going to make an impact and you're going to be a leader and you're going to be an inspiration to others. And I'm just so grateful for you. So I did that from the moment he was conceived all the way through his adolescence and even after his conscious mind was developed at age 13. My kids would grow up and they'd be like, hey, Dad, I want to be a world champion in Taekwondo at 10 years old, 8 years old. And I go, awesome, let's do it. You think I can? Yeah, of course you can. Somebody's got to win the world title.
Might as well be you.
Might as well be you. So how do you do that? I have no idea how to do that. So I get him coaching, I get him training. As you said, I surrounded him with people who had skill. People who had the same values that I have. And it takes a village to raise a child. And, I'm very proud that Hayden, despite being told, you're not from Brazil, you're not from Chile, you're not from Asia, where the majority of the world champions come from. You're from New Hampshire, and you're small. So, man, this is going to be a steep climb. all the reasons why you can't exist, but all the reasons why you can exist. So we made a list. I'm going to work harder than anyone else. I'm going to get personal coaching. I'm going to get training. Great. So now we got some positives to look at. And he worked hard, and he didn't win one world champion. He won two by the age of 10. And that created a belief. I can do it. We've all done amazing things, and we don't celebrate those things. And it might not be something as grandiose as that, but do you remember the first time you learned how to tie your shoes? You should celebrate that with your kids.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you did it. You got your piss in the toilet. Yay, that's great. You didn't get it all over the seat. Celebrate those victories. So then he wanted to be a varsity quarterback in high school. And, he's small. He was 5'4", 5'5", 5'6", going through high school. And he managed to accomplish that, become the captain of the football team, become the starting quarterback by his junior year. He got college offers from D3 schools mostly. He got one from Brown, which is a D1 school, Ivy League. And then his senior year, talk about adversity, he tore his ACL a week before his first game. Devastating.
Yeah.
All the 13 college offers off the table. They don't want injured players, especially 5'8" quarterbacks. So, he went to a bunch of camps. He worked hard. He proved himself. He decided to go to prep school. He applied to all these great schools to get in. He got denied. One rejection letter after the other. But he didn't quit. He didn't give up. His mom and dad didn't quit or give up when we were trying to have a baby. So what I would tell you, number one, is don't quit. Just because you don't succeed the first time, the second time, the third time. Don't quit. So he went to prep school, didn't quit, got some film, got some playing time, got an offer from one D3 school in Iowa. Good school, Grinnell College. He decides to go there. He earns the starting position as a freshman. He sets 2 passing records at the school as a 5'8" quarterback. Very proud watching your kid throw 30-yard, 40-yard, 50, 60-yard touchdown passes.
Yeah.
We're celebrating. He's playing college football. It's great. He decides that he wanted to take it another step. He wanted to live with no regrets and take one more bite at the apple. And he applied to Duke, Northwestern, Stanford, and Vanderbilt. All elite schools, all Division I football. One rejection letter came in after the other, but he got into Vanderbilt in the SEC. So I said, so Hayden, football is over. It's been great school. Congratulations. I'm proud of you. I'm excited for your future. He goes, what do you mean it's over? I'm playing football at Vanderbilt. I go, what are you talking about? It's the SEC. Even my little voice kicks in. It's the SEC. You're
Sure.
5'8". You're not Tom Brady at Michigan. You're not, Joe Burrow at LSU. You don't have that size. You don't have that strength. You don't have that arm. You don't have their speed. He goes, Dad, and I didn't say this to him. He goes, I'm playing football. I go, awesome. Let's do it. What do we need to do to help you? He goes, I got this. He's 19 years old now. He goes, I got this. I'm going to send film to the coaching staff. I'm going to get an appointment. I'm going to walk on the team. And anyway, long story short, you just experienced it. My kid's a SEC quarterback for Vanderbilt.
Dude, amazing to see that. And when you retell that story, like, it's not supposed to happen, right?
No.
And the coolest thing is that he said, I got it. Right? At 19 years old, he has it. But it's everything that he did leading up to that, right? The connections he made with the coaches through the camps and things like that. So when he got to Vanderbilt, like, he knew some people there, right? And dude, I got to tell you, like, you told me he was short, but when I got out of the car and he got out of the Jeep, I'm like, yeah, he's 5'8", like, wearing some shoes, and I'm like,
it's legit, yeah.
Yeah.
Like.
And
he stands next to, and he made the travel team this year, which is even more incredible. And he's on the depth chart right now. So, if shit goes down, he could play in a game. And, his skill level at this level is ridiculous. And his plan currently, it's subject to change, is he's enjoyed calling the plays and traveling and contributing, and he's found an identity and a role on the team, which isn't the quarterback, but it's the play caller. It's the,
he's calling plays. I mean, he's a coach, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we toured the facility and he showed us the quarterback room. He's like, man, I've spent more time in this room than anywhere on campus,
Yeah.
And he's a wicked smart kid too. I mean, that's the other thing. He's very, very smart, and so I think the coaches see him as an asset to the team, right?
Yeah.
And he's calling the plays. He's running the offense from the sideline. It was so cool to see. And the thing I got to tell you, like, the thing that really hit me was you and your wife's passion to be all in on him, right? And you talked about all those little voices in your head. I mean, realistically, the odds of him taking a snap are very small, right? At Vanderbilt, right? But it doesn't matter. You're in. Got the motor coach, got the gold vest. You're like 100% dad, 1,000% in there every single step of the way. And that was just so cool to see you support your kid at that level, man. And it just is a testament of the way you live your life, the way that you're all in, the way your career is. And it was really cool for me to see that as a dad. And then for the reason, and this all happened really quick. You came and skydived, and a week later we're in Nashville. For me, Andrew's 14 years old, and he's in a little bit different spot. He's almost probably 6'1" at 14. And he's starting to play football, and he's probably slacking a little bit on his grades. And so I took this as an opportunity to expose him to some different folks, right? I told you it was a subtle, kick in his butt that, look, man, if you can have the life that you want, but your current standards aren't going to get you there, right? And it was great for him to walk and see the facility. Y'all were amazingly gracious, got to hang out with Hayden and the coaches and the practice facility. And you introduced him to a tight end, which he wants to be. So he met a tight end and he met a long snapper, got to get that perspective. So it was awesome. And I tell you, I've already seen some changes in his attitude and work ethic just from that. And so
you control your environment, right? And it rubs off in a really good way. If you hang around with thugs, thieves, derelicts, drug addicts, dirtbags, bad is going to happen to your kids.
Yeah.
Now, if you can put them in an environment, and some people say, I don't have the resources that you have to send my kids to private school to get them the coaching. With all due respect, I call BS on that.
Yep.
Because you can do anything you want to do. You just need to make a decision. I made a decision when my kids were born that they're going to private school. We have good public schools, but I don't want good.
Well, great.
I want great.
Yep.
Has it been a sacrifice? Yes. Could I do more for me and Janet if we didn't have to pay $30,000 a year for high school? You bet. If I didn't have to pay thousands of dollars in private coaching? You bet. I just have decided that I'm going to give my kids every opportunity because I don't want to die going, I wish I did more.
Yeah, I agree, man. And I think for me personally, it was a good shift of I'm making a decision to expose my kids to everything. I think I made that decision earlier. We travel a lot, we want to expose them to the world. But like if he's all in on something, I'm going to use my network, my connections, my relationships, and expose him to that world so he really knows what it's like, and have him surround himself with the people that he wants to be. So, man, just want to say thanks, and it was awesome and very inspiring for both me and Andrew. And your younger son was awesome too. He was there taking pictures, and it was actually a little bit of a David Letterman story going on there because he had a big old camera, right? He's passionate about taking pictures, and he's not supposed to be let in. Tell that story a little bit, because he handled that. He walked in like he owned the place, like handled it like a champ.
Yeah, it's awesome. So we don't believe in can't, right? So when you go into a stadium that's not your home stadium, We were away in enemy territory. And he has a camera that's got a lens that's, 14 inches long. It's 200 to 600 millimeters for you camera people out there. It's giant. It's a professional lens. And he wants to take pictures of his brother in the stadium at the game. And we role played. I said, some numbskull's going to tell you can't, right? We're going to go to check in and they're going to say you can't. So we rehearsed that. I said, first of all, what does your voice say when someone says you can't? Like, we reject that thinking. So we just needed to come up with a game plan, which he did, and he handled it with, ace. So he goes, hey, I'm with the Vanderbilt football team, which is true. His brother's on the team. And he's friends with the photographer for Vanderbilt. And the photographer gave him permission to say, hey, you can be my intern anytime. So when we're at Tennessee, Peyton's, sure enough, the gate agent said, you can't come in with that lens. He said, yes, I can. I'm with the Vanderbilt football team, and I'm an intern for the social media department. And they said, oh, okay. And they let him in.
Right in.
And no problem, right? So we didn't break any rules. I don't suggest in breaking any rules. I don't believe in lying. I don't believe in being deceitful. I just think you need to be more strategic in thinking things through. Now, had we failed at getting him through that gate, we wouldn't have just brought the lens back to the car and put it away. We don't quit. We don't give up. We set our intentions and we learn from what works and what doesn't work, teaches you what not to do. And it was a funny story, but yeah, I was very, very proud of how certain he was.
And he was super confident, man. Like, yeah, super confident. He walked in like he owned the joint, and he was off for 2 3 quarters taking pictures. It was fun. It was fun to see that also. Well, look, man, as always, man, great spending time with you. Like, you give me energy. Yeah. Like, we can't let 7 years go by for sure. I'm thinking maybe LSU, Vanderbilt next year.
That'd be great.
In Baton Rouge. But thanks for spending the time with me. And thanks for all the inspiration you've been over the years, man. I really appreciate it.
Well, it's awesome to meet your son in person and, just watch him interact and maybe raise his bar for what's possible. Because I think regardless of your size, we can tell anybody why they can't reach their goals. And there's a lot of that going on in the world. And, I just don't believe in it. I believe in telling people you can. Go for it. Shoot for the stars. How can we help you? How can we support you? I appreciate you, brother. We're like-minded. I hope that this had a positive impact in the people that watched it. And, if anybody wants to follow me on Instagram, I'm Coach Brian Moses, or you can reach out to me, DM me. I'm on Facebook as well. And much of my story is about my kids, not my successes in business or finance or net worth. It's my identity is a husband, a father, a person of impact. And if I can support you in any way, please reach out.
And you can imagine, if you support your family and your coach and your kids this way, imagine what you do for your clients. So look Brian up. He's an amazing human being. He's an amazing coach. If you're looking to take your real estate career to the next level, this is the guy you need to be talking to. Thanks so much, Brian. I really appreciate your time.
Love you, brother. Thanks so much.
Love you, man. Well, look, thanks for spending some more time with us with Connecting the Journey. This was a very fun episode for me. And as always, there's no gratitude looking forward. Take a second, look back to where you came from so you can move forward with full gratitude. Thanks so much. Appreciate y'all. Have a good day.